Filip. I'm new in this role as the program manager for Umbraco CMS. In Umbraco HQ, we always have this balance of we're building an open source project that's free and for everybody to use, and we want that to be as amazing as possible. But we also have to run a business and make some money that can actually finance that people like myself and Bjarke actually get paid to work on Umbraco. And my role is putting more weight on the CMS scale, trying to put more focus and attention internally into the CMS. So I'm super excited to be here. As we just talked about, I've been to Code Garden a couple of times. I first met Umbraco in 2012, where I went to my first Code Garden. I was just hired at Skybrud, one of the gold partners at the time, and you know, I just fell in love with the community, all the high fives, all the U-Rocks. You know, it was just amazing, and I fell in love, and I've been following the company in the CMS ever since. On the agency side and now from the inside. So I'm super excited to be here. And I really think that the community is the secret sauce of Umbraco. It's what makes Umbraco stand out to all the other CMSs, is the friendly community that we have and how we work together to make our product better. I think that's fantastic. I also just want to, you know, highlight or acknowledge the difficult times that we're in. As I said, I wish I could have been in Holland and we could have had a real event, and we canceled Code Garden this year. It was a big bummer for all of us. And I know that most of us are hit some way. Maybe you lost your job, or somebody you know lost their jobs, or maybe you even had the disease. It is terrible, and we are really hoping for a quick recovery for the world, really. You know, I was really looking forward to going, and I just wanted to post this this picture in here as well. We're doing it from the Umbraco TV studio now, where all our internal teachings is recorded and all the webinars and stuff. So it's nice that we have a setup where we can do at least a decent keynote. With challenges also comes new opportunities. Like, we've never seen virtual meetups and conferences in scale this big, and it's amazing. We're reaching even more people than we usually can, and especially reaching people that maybe aren't financially able to travel or for other reasons. Like, we are actually opening up new opportunities, and I'm really excited about that. And you know, this is October, so we started Hacktoberfest, as we've done the last couple of years, alongside the official Hacktoberfest, we're running our own little thing. And I talked to Sebastian this morning, and I'm allowed to say that maybe there will be sucks for people who join, who contribute to Umbraco, the docs, or submitted packages within October. I think that's going to be amazing. And I know that Sebastian and Emma are working on a video on how to get started, how to do your first PR. All of that is going to be available as soon as we can. I think they did a recording yesterday that got messed up, so hopefully we'll do it again very soon. 2020 has been a big year for Umbraco. And I just want to run through a couple of numbers with you, just because it's a strong year for Umbraco. We are now at 133 gold partners. We've added some more across the world. I think we've grown by 27 in 2020 alone. So lots of growth there as well. It's amazing to see. Thanks to all of you who joined this year and all of those who've been with us for years. We appreciate the support, and we hope that you get lots of value from your gold partnership. We're now 68 people at HQ, including 9 interns and our consultants overseas and stuff. As you know, COVID hit all of us, including HQ, and we adjusted our budget, and we're on par with the new budget now. But when we take in new interns, we still get to grow a little bit, and that's super amazing. And we really like to have interns in. They give us some new insights, and they tell us what they're teaching at school, and it's very valuable for us. We now have 61 MVPs. We added 14 this year. Congrats to all of you who were added this year, and to all of you, of course. We really appreciate everything you bring to the community. And this year we already, I think about a month ago, we hit the 1,000 certification marks in 2020. So we did a little celebration at the office, of course, and celebrated you know, the studio and where most of it happens due to Corona. I got 1,000 pieces of candy, and it was all nice. And I talked to Gabriel earlier this week, and he said that we're actually on the mark of hitting 2,000 by the end of this year. So 2,000 certifications in just 1 year. That's amazing, and that really shows like the size of our community. For the past 12 months, we've merged more than 850 PRs, which is pretty incredible number. That's more than 2 a day. That's really impressive, and we're really happy about that. And earlier this year, we launched the Contributing Partners badge for partners that actually contribute back to Umbraco, and we're happy to welcome 26 partners to that program as well. It's just so amazing when we can partner up like that, also on a contribution level with companies that can help us grow Umbraco. We did Umbraco Awards. Umbraco Awards usually goes on at the Code Garden, but I want to just take a moment here where there's a lot of people watching to, give credit and where credit is due. Like so many cool stuff or cool solutions have been built on top of Umbraco, and we're just super excited. It's so inspiring to me to see the difference and the complexity of stuff being built in a friendly way. With a great user experience. So that's really amazing. We now have 5 community teams, and a special thanks to all of you, especially maybe the accessibility team that's run 100% in the community, so without any HQ people involved directly. And we have plans to add more community teams. And if you want to join a team, or if you have an idea for a new team, please reach out. We want to engage with you even closer. So it's been a busy year. Let's go through a couple of the releases that we've been through already. First, we have 8.7, as we just talked about, where the main new user-facing feature is the block list. It's all about the block. So many new features around that, and it just it shows such a great user experience or editor experience for working with more complex content inside of Umbraco. It's a really nice feature, and I'm really excited about it. And it just makes it easier to work with, especially with our new validation system. And so much hard work has gone into that. And thanks to everybody at HQ and in the community that worked on that. And of course, we also introduced segments in 8.7. Segments is a little bit of a harder feature to grasp at first, but a really great way to think of it or to try it out is to try out the Marketing Suite product that they built on top of this. And actually, a lot of the segments that went into 8.7 is made from the people behind that. We really appreciate what you're doing here, and it's just a great example of where it makes business sense for the contributing partners to provide back into Umbraco. And we're really excited about that. Yeah, to learn more about 8.7, go check out the release blog post. There's a deep dive for how to use the block list editor. And if you're more the visual kind of guy, the Umbraco episode 140, where Niels Lyngsø went to the show and showed pretty much everything that's in the blog post on video there. So go check it out. Yesterday we released 8.8. So it's been a quick release. We have more than 170 community PRs in there, a couple of HQ ones as well. And HQ is, and 8.8 is very much focused around accessibility, lots of new accessibility improvements. Also, we are moving the back office to run with SVG icons. We built, or the community built stuff to facilitate that. And that's just so great for accessibility. It gives us lots of flexibility in terms of how icons look, and even, icons can be multicolored now, and it's super great. There's also some nice improvements to working with media, working with the grid and cropping and all that kind of stuff. So lots of nice improvements in 8.8 as well. We released Forms 8.5, which is where you can actually store the forms definition in the database. And we have a scheduled release without a date yet, but I would say 4 to 6 weeks, where we will release forms where we take out the jQuery dependency for validation on the front end, so you can have validation without any external dependencies. So we're pretty excited about that as well. We've released Uno, and there's been tons of webinars on Uno and stuff already. But I just want to highlight that if you haven't already, Uno is a great place to find out about new features. So if you want to see how you could use the block list editor for regular pages and for editors, Uno is a great showcase for that. If you're just trying to show off Umbraco to a potential client, instead of spinning up your own thing, take a trial with Uno, and you have a very easy way to show off how Umbraco looks and how friendly it is to the editors. I know that also some people are using it as a starting point to get all the SEO stuff for free and get lots of the cool configurations out of the box, and then work on it from there and build it into their own sites. Really cutting the cord to Uno, and that's totally fine as well. And we also really like the idea that even as a non-technical person, you can build a website and get started. So if you don't have a budget to hire somebody, you can actually do point-and-click stuff yourself. For very simple solutions, or for the local Boy Scout club or the cycling team or whatever, this might be a very valid and valuable approach for you. We also had some updates for Hardcore, most notably probably GraphQL. As an old front-end developer myself, I'm really excited about GraphQL for Hardcore. I think it's a game changer. And now that we've launched the preview API, so that if you're authenticated, you can actually see content before it's published, so you can give your editors a nice preview experience. I think Hardcore is a really valid headless competitor in the headless space, and I'm pretty excited about where that's going to continue to go. We've done the first two alphas of the Unicore project of Umbraco running on .NetCore, and in just a couple of minutes, Bjarke will take the stage and tell you all about it. So I won't go too much into that, but that's also two releases that we've had in just the last couple of weeks. So now what? Of course, you can always find the official roadmap on the website and see what we're working on. But I want to just highlight a couple of things and give you some pointers. 8.9. We are going to release an RC for 8.9 in the beginning of next week. We're going to do shorter, faster releases coming up. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later, but you can expect an RC for 8.9 already next week. And I think 8.9 is actually a pretty great example of some of the synergy that happens at HQ. So 8.9 is mostly authentication improvements, so how you authenticate as an editor inside of backoffice. And it actually came out of a wish, of a desire for the cloud team to be able to have a better way to take your cloud login and automatically be logged into the back office. And building on that, we actually made a lot of nice improvements to how we do authentication in Umbraco. And all of this fed back into the CMS, and now it's available for everybody to use. So I think that's a pretty great example of the synergy that we get for the way that we've set up HQ. So RC next Monday or next week, and we're aiming for a final on October 19th. 8.10 is going to come out after that, and 8.10 is going to be, we're launching automatic versioning cleanup. You know how in Umbraco, whenever you click save, we actually make a copy of the node so that we can have all the history rollback and all those nice features around. But you might not want to keep that you might not want to keep those indefinitely in your database. We don't want to flood everybody's database with old content. So we're introducing, much like the community package on version, we're introducing automatic cleanup of old versions based on some configuration. Then we're doing some improvements in regards to how we analyze or how we collect install statistics. And then we're running a project we call Pied Piper for Umbraco CMS. And if you don't know, Pied Piper refers to the sitcom called Silicon Valley, where they're doing a startup around a project that builds a compression engine. So Pied Piper from Umbraco CMS is turning compression up to level 8 or level 11 for Umbraco CMS. And this means that we'll have less of a footprint and we'll have a better performance where we run Umbraco. So that's really nice as well. And of course, we look forward to welcoming lots of contributions in Hacktoberfest, and we hope to get as many of those as possible into 8.10 as well. Then we have deploy on premises. We've been talking about that for a long time, and this month we're actually going to launch an exclusive gold partner access to deploy on prem. So if you're a gold partner, there's a gold partner summit in a couple of weeks, and there you'll get all the information about how you sign up and how you get your license, and then how you provide feedback. And for the rest of you, after this feedback has happened, we're gonna finish the project of that and gonna make it generally available at a later point. But I want to also just highlight packages that are already trying to make themselves work on deploy. I saw earlier this week, I think that the guys from the vendor team actually made or publicly said that now they are supported in using and in deploy for cloud, and we're really excited about that. And we want more packages to have a better experience doing that. And so hopefully we'll get that as well. And with that, it's time for a little status on Unicore, and so I'll hand it over to Bjarke in the most Corona-safe way I know, since we're sharing the remote. So I'll go wash my hands.
Hey everyone. So, what is Project Unicore? As Filip mentioned, it's basically the Project Unicore is to the transition of Umbraco CMS and the packages and documentation and so on from HQ into .NET Core. And why is this important? First of all, Microsoft announced last year that .NET Core is the future of .NET, and there won't be any new versions of .NET Framework. We know that the latest version of the web framework from Microsoft only runs on .NET Core, and .NET Core brings some, and especially the web framework brings some really nice performance and scalability improvements. And of course, .NET Core is cross-platform, and I think that it will be easier to attract new developers if this tech stack is more relevant. The current status of the project is that we have a functional back office. So to reach this milestone, we had to migrate the entire service layer and the entire data layer. And some of the challenges so far is mainly due to the separation between web server and application. So for Linux, we need to find alternatives to IIS to make it possible to make application restarts. Also for Linux that has a case-sensitive file system, it is important that all paths is requested in the correct casing. And also configuration will change. So we change from file transformations into reading configuration from multiple sources. And this is a challenge because sometimes we need Umbraco to write configurations like the connection string and so on. So what's missing? We still have a couple of big areas that is missing. First of all, we have the entire website rendering, which is a really important part of Umbraco. We also need to migrate members from membership providers into ASP.NET Core identity. We need to update Examine to use the latest Lucene.NET to support cross-platform. We also need to change packages because in the newest web framework, we need that, or all files that need to be accessible from a browser needs to be located in the same folder or rooted in the same folder. And we have some areas where we would like to align with best practices in NetCore. Regarding upgrades or migrates, we want to make it as easy as possible, but we also have to note that this is a technology update and we will need to make breaking changes. So far, we haven't introduced any single change to the database, so no content migration will be needed. All the public web APIs from Umbraco is untouched. We will be forced to make minimal changes to the JavaScript because of the members migration. We also know that we will update namespaces and you will need to inject your dependencies instead of using static references. So basically, you will need to touch your templates and your custom code and packages, but hopefully the changes will be okay. As Filip mentioned, right now we have 2 alphas available. The definition of alpha was or is a functional back office running on .NET Core, and we plan to keep shipping alpha versions every time we have something important migrated. The beta is defined as a feature-complete CMS. If we dare to trust on our estimates, the numbers point towards Q1 next year. At this point, we expect package developers to start, and HQ will also start looking into our own packages. And from the beta, we will also document the changes between each version. We will release a release candidate or ship a release candidate when all HQ packages are migrated. At this point, we have kind of proven that it is possible to write complex packages on top of the new version of Umbraco. And after all the release candidates, we will of course have a final release. We aim for having some of the most important third-party packages available at launch. So this is a high-level overview. As you can see from the colors and the sizes of the blocks, we are around 50% through the project. And as you can see on the right side, we have allocated big blocks or a lot of time to revisit all the documentation, and we have some buffers for bug fixes. But of course, it is almost impossible for us to estimate how long time we will need to fix bugs. So how can you help? And there are many ways to help us. Keep in mind that the Umbraco or the Unicore community team is here to assist you. One of the ways you can test or you can help is by testing the current alpha releases and report any issues. These issues will, as a rule of thumb, always be up for grabs. So if you can resolve it yourself, of course you're welcome, but otherwise other community members could pick up the task and resolve it. If you are interested in a larger feature, of course we want to collaborate on that. And we also have a list of up for grabs tasks already. And finally, all acceptance tests written to Umbraco 8 can be reused one-to-one for the .netcore project, because we are almost not touching the JavaScript. And then I will bring it back to Filip.
Nice. Sorry about the light. It seems the sun came out just as we did. But thanks, Bjarke. I am super excited about the .netcore release. Me as a long-time Mac user, it's amazing to be able to run the back office directly on my Mac, and it's super excited. I'm super excited. So what to expect during the migration? So obviously the migration project is very back-end heavy, and as Bjarke said, we don't plan on making any changes to the back office for the .netcore version. So we will be improving the UX in version 8 and merging that up into .netcore, of course. And we have some time now to start tackling the most low-hanging fruits, focusing on making the user experience even better. Then we're committing to fixing some of the long-standing bugs that we've had. So for every cycle that we're doing in our release cycle, we will take a priority list of bugs and get them fixed. And the right way to get your bug prioritized is through the bug list on GitHub. And we will continue to merge up and down. So whenever contributions are made for .netcore that could make sense in 8, we'll try to merge it down to 8. And as anything that's moved into 8, of course, it's going to be part of the .netcore version as well. And speaking about versioning, maybe you saw that I was almost tripping over my feet, and you heard that because we want to be more predictable. So we are going over to a semantic versioning for Umbraco. So we will have real majors and minors from the .netcore project and moving on. So we'll stop referring to .netcore as version 9 and talk more about Umbraco as a project and talk about features included. There's going to be an official announcement about this later, where we'll answer all the questions about how long we support and how often we expect to do majors and that kind of stuff. Then what? I want to just end on giving you a picture of what comes after that. And of course, we know that we have a mandatory assignment in regards to re-indenting the front end of the back office. And this is the time where we're working on an RFC that we want to put out this year. So we know that there's been RFCs already for the back office, and we're working. Oh, the sun went away. Nice. We're we're working on an RFC with some of our ideas in it. We want it to be pretty precise and try to keep all the framework walls out of it, but describe how we want to get there and what we think the pieces are in that. So look out for that. And if you have ideas before that, please reach out to me. You can find me on Twitter, or you can find my email on the website. I'm available to talk, and I love to talk about this. I'm really passionate about it. And don't worry about this. This is going to be a process that's going to take a long time. We will be transparent. We will take all the inputs. And we'll do a thorough work to make sure that we make a great update of the back office. And we will do this together. And I'll just end on that saying, we make Umbraco better together, together as a community. It's not HQ doing Umbraco and you get to get it for free. It's us. It's our product, and we're really happy about it. And we want to continue investing even more in the community. And with that, I think we actually stayed on the time budget that we were allowed. So that's very nice. And I'll put it back to you guys in the studio.
Well, thank you, Filip, and thank you, Bjarke, for explaining this all to us. There are quite a few questions in the chat. A lot of positive things for what you guys are doing, but also a few critical ones. So I think the critical ones are the interesting ones to ask right now. So be prepared for it. One of the mentions was that .NET Core is currently already kind of dead because ASP.NET 5 is coming along. So what are the plans for that in the future when it comes to Umbraco?
Yes. We have an excellent answer for that. Bjarke, you want to...
I already have a stream that, a branch where we are up to date with the latest release candidate of .NET 5. We plan to have multi-targeting of Umbraco, so you can still target the latest long-term support from Microsoft or the latest version in general, which will be 5. So far, right now, we still have some troubles with some of our third-party dependencies like image shop, but I'm sure these will be fixed.
Great. Yeah, that's great to hear. So people were just concerned about, okay, what about ASP.NET 5? But in this case, you guys are accounted for. Yes. So that's great. The other one is about AngularJS, if you would expect it. You were mentioning that you're going to expect breaking changes in the future. So the question is, why aren't you just taking the hit and changing AngularJS at the same time as well, if we're breaking things anyway?
So that's what I'm referring to. So we want to, like, the breaking changes that we want to do for back office is when we get rid of AngularJS. Mm-hmm. And I think it's premature to go much more into that. Before we release the RFC, I think what a lot of the thoughts that we have are in that is going to be in that RFC, and hopefully it'll answer your questions of how we think we can approach it. And of course, there's probably areas that we haven't thought about, and we want your input on it.
All right, that's fantastic. And I guess because you're now iterating far quicker and moving to semantic versioning as well, these big breaking changes become less of a big deal. You actually can, version accordingly. You don't have to wait for, from a marketing point of view, being able to market the next big releases. Yeah. Being it's V9, and therefore we can make breaking changes. Like just make them when you need to make.
Yeah, exactly. So we wanna stick to doing major versions at a set interval. We haven't specified the interval yet. Maybe twice a year or something like that. But don't count me on that yet. It'll all be when we do the official announcement. It's all gonna be in there. And how are we gonna do LTSs, and we talked about aligning them with how .NetCore does LTSs, so you can stay on one version of .NET or .NET 5 or whatever, and have that along with an Umbraco version that then also has LTS for 18 months or something like that. But we don't know yet. So keep an eye out for the announcement.